All right, let's talk about Dania Jackson. Who is Dania Jackson? Dania Jackson is the wife of Derek Jackson. I'll give you a quick backstory, and then we'll get into responding to some of the stuff he had to say on the Dear Future Wife podcast. That will be the first episode of Dear Future Wife podcast that I listened to. By the way, that'll be the first that I listened to. I think I've seen some clips of him around the internet, but I haven't really had a chance to dive in. But I'm going to start paying attention to some of his interviews, you know. But I think from what I've seen so far, he's doing a good job. He's doing a good job. And I think it's worth continue to look at that podcast and see some other part of the conversations that we can pay attention to. Okay. All right. So yes. I'm glad we're able to talk about. Let me see here. But welcome. Let's get into it. So before I get into this, I want to give you a quick backstory to how I got to know about Dania Jackson, you know, and probably how many of you got to know her. She's the wife or ex-wife. I'm not sure if they finalized their divorce yet. She's the wife of Derek Jackson. Yep. Derek Jackson is a YouTuber. Who was popular for pandering to women. Okay. And I hate using the word pandering because I get accused of that sometimes. I do too. Like if you keep calling me something, I'm like, yo, what's with this pandering nonsense you're saying? Do you not like the truth? Can I hold you accountable as a fellow man? I'll be waiting any. Right. So, but it's usually men that don't like to be held accountable that use that term, you know. But I'll be very, very honest with you. The first time I encountered this man, it was one of those short clips that was going around the internet. I didn't know his name. I didn't know who he was. This was got to be about 3-4 years ago or so. Maybe up to 5 years ago, actually, Seth, you know. But a side of what he would say will basically be, okay, it makes sense, right? Because it's using terminologies like boundaries, narcissism, you know, intentionality, being intentional. It's using all these different terms, right? So a lot of people, when they hear those terms, and myself from back then too, when they hear those terms, they naturally gravitate towards he must be saying the correct thing, right? Like he's using big psychological terms. But you know me now. I critique all the way. I need to hear it doesn't matter how big your English is. I'm trying to hear your art. I'm trying to hear your heart. Like, what are you trying to say exactly, right? And the first thing for me was like there was a disconnect. I felt like, hey, he hears one side. He's talking about just one side of the story oftentimes, and it's usually just the woman's side of the story. And there's an active tendency to throw the man under the bus on a consistent basis, right? And that's a red flag for me, you know. But we move, right? We just move. Like maybe he knows all the side of the story because I'm usually watching maybe a few less than 1 minute of a video, but you know, on a consistent basis there's probably something to it, right? But I don't know, less than 2 years ago or so, another blogger, YouTuber, Tasha K, basically came out with this expose exposing him as a cheater. Well, first of all, exposing that he's a married man, and then exposing that he's a cheater, right? Yeah, he was cheating with some random chicks and stuff like that. And then less than 48 hours later, this guy came out with the picture you're looking at right now, this video, and basically put his wife on the screen, and they were basically trying to speak to the public, you know, try to control the narrative, you know. And it didn't work because if you look at the body language, she looks like somebody that didn't really want to be there. Does she look like somebody that wants to be on that screen? She looked like somebody that didn't want to be on that screen, right? Not only that, what is going on in this area? Like what's the bonnet, the sweater, right? Excuse me for the struggle streaming right now. I don't know what's going on with the struggle streaming, right? But you could tell that she didn't want to be there. Okay, she didn't want to be there. Basically say, yeah, I cheated. We've been working on it. I was like, oh nah, this is looking worse than we thought, right? It's not exactly the words he was using. It was the vibe of the video. Everything about the video says, this guy is a liar.
Stop the cap.
He's a liar.
Why the fuck you lying? Why you always lying?
Right? But again, hey, he was holding himself accountable. But if you look at the woman's body language, I'm like, oh my god, this guy go collect in their private life, in the privacy of their home. Yeah, it's not going to work out like that. People are not just gonna wake up and say. Now, if you remember, a few days ago we were talking about. I asked you ladies that are in the chat. I said, which one do you think is worse, the cheating or the embarrassment? A lot of you were capping big time and saying it's the cheating. It's the cheating. Eventually, we got to,
Stop the cap.
Eventually, we got to a consensus. The worst thing you can put a woman through, in addition to cheating on them, right? Cheating is just as bad. The worst thing you can do is create additional embarrassment for them. Even though I'm sure he didn't put a gun to her head to come and sit down, but you might as well do that. If you are a manipulative person, if you have controlling behavior and you say, you just, all this will go away, let's just sit down and talk about it, let's just tell the whole world, and you and I can go to therapy right now. We could go to therapy, right? Well, people like him and myself, it's very hard to get us to go to therapy because we know too much. I'm being honest with you. If my wife comes to me for like we need therapy right now, I will literally put on my intentionality hat and say, thank you, Jesus. This is an opportunity. She's gonna tell me something that is completely in my blind spot. That takes a lot of humility on my part. Because honestly, I probably will get there. She'll be saying a lot. I will be trying to pull myself out of psychoanalyzing the counselor. And it's a very bad place to be when you know a lot. It's better to not know so much, because at least you are willing to receive. So I have to be extremely intentional and say, no, this person's trying to tell me something about myself that I can't see. It's a very difficult thing to get people like this guy to go to therapy. Extremely difficult. Pride is nobody's mate. Yeah. Pride is a bastard. Pride is a bastard. I'm telling you, pride is a good thing in certain respect, right? Being proud of who you are. But when it's misplaced, yeah, he put his wife on the spot, basically, So that's the backstory. But for the first time, the wife is coming out to speak, okay? Since that time, she would show up on Instagram doing all kind of madness, craziness. She looked like she was completely out of her mind and things like that, And, I saw this yesterday. I was like, oh, we got to, shout out to Natu. She shared it with me as well, that we have to talk about this. She looked dowdy. Meanwhile, he was cheating, liar, after women who were nicely attired. Kenneth says she was one of the many women he had for rotation in college. Yes, we're getting to that part of the story. On that last episode that we had, where we were talking about the other stuff, the cheats and all that stuff, what is accepted by society is not just men that did it. It takes both men and women to call something a society and accepted in general scale. There's a lot of enabling behavior, right? And I know that, there's a fine line. You don't want to victim shame, but you don't want to call it out for what it is. On all sides, it takes a lot of enabling to make certain behaviors stand the test of time. Either you're calling it cheating, behavior, controlling behavior, or insecurity. It takes a lot of enabling energy on all sides. to make it happen. Okay, and you're gonna find that a lot in this story. That's what Ekene is speaking to, and but yeah, let's get to it. Let's get to some of that video, and then we'll take it from there. I'm gonna start from there. You go, right there.
19.
When I knew I wanted to form an LLC.
Pay some bills. All right, let's get to it.
And so I still kind of include that in childhood trauma. So
it's been an interesting thing with this season of the podcast. It's like almost every woman that has sat down on this couch during this season have dealt with sexual trauma, sexual assault, rape.
yes.
There was a statistic that I read that was 1 in 5 women have dealt with sexual assault, and then now they said there's probably 1 in 3 or something.
All right, so I don't want them to talk too much about the word that rhymes with the fruit grape, so I'm going to fast forward from there. But the gist of that is that she went through sexual assault at the age of 19. Okay, while she was in college. She was an FICO. She was a straight A student, and they actually met in the same class, So I wanted to push through that really quickly, and then we'll move forward, and then let's get to...
Have to experience that.
Yeah.
Because I don't know how I would have reacted and responded.
It's hard. It's hard when you have girls, and a lot of times it happens with people that you know and that you trust, right? So my abuser is somebody that I know. Or new, and so your guard is automatically let down. It's not something that you can anticipate. So it's like, okay, you're doing the right thing, asking the questions, where you're at, what you're doing. But sometimes you have to be like, I don't care who it is, uncle, brother, cousin, grandpa. If you feel uncomfortable at all, I need you to let me know so then we can address it. So
again, thank you for sharing that. Yeah. So, you met your husband at what age, and how'd y'all meet?
At 19, we met in business calc class at Tuskegee University.
Hold on.
Tuskegee.
So you met him shortly after
I did.
your rape experience?
I did.
3 weeks after.
3 weeks.
3 weeks after
I met him.
they met. Okay, I'm just moving forward.
Yes.
If you want to watch the full video,
And so
it's called the Dear Future Wife Podcast, something like that.
how did it transition from you being his tutor to him tutoring
She
you
was-
in some things?
She was his tutor. Did you get that part?
That is good. That's good. I did get I got schooled, okay, for years. No, we after the tutoring, we were having conversations nearly daily. Like the first 3 days, it felt like I know him for my whole life.
Yeah.
And literally, we were on the phone, sleeping on the phone, like those first 3 days, having all kinds of conversations. And it was like, oh my gosh, I've known you all my life. This is a fairy tale.
This is how it starts.
I love you. Like, when are we getting married and having kids? Like, it was all
Were you
of
thinking
that.
this, or were you saying this?
All of the.
Y'all were talking about marriage and stuff?
Not necessarily marriage, but it was definitely.
You might as well talk about marriage.
I like you. Like, I've known you my whole life. Like, this is so easy.
Yeah.
Like, where have you been?
Yeah.
So-
this is right here in this
19
moment.
years old.
Yes.
So tell me, right? If you're having this, you just met somebody for the first time and you're having these vibes, butterflies in your stomach, yes, including men, right? Are you able to see red flags in this zone? Are you able to? Well, some people are, but usually those people have gone through some things, right? So they have their guards up. But when somebody's able to make you let your guards down, right? Are you capable of seeing red flags? Let's be honest. I know you want to be intentional. You should just check everything. People should check before they go into a marriage and all this. Majority of people are going to say I do, and they don't know what they're doing. All of them. Okay, all of them. But probably more like most, okay? Most people that say I do, they don't know what they're doing. And that's okay. That's not a crime. The point of me saying that to you is that understand that when you do get married, that's when the work starts, okay? And the work is a good thing. The work is not negative. Everybody else try to make it sound like it's a negative thing, okay? When I say that's where the work starts, that's when the real growth starts. Okay? It doesn't start before. You're not capable of doing the work before. You can't. You're a human being. You're in love. Where have you been all my life? Everything feels so right. We didn't have to talk about marriage. I just feel like I belong here for the rest of my life. That's that's the point. It feels like that in that moment. You're in love.
Where have you been all my life?
Exactly.
All the 19 years of my existence.
Exactly. All 19 years of my life. I miss you. I love you. This is what, and so it was great. It's pure ecstasy. And
Pure
so
ecstasy.
from there, we spent pretty much every day together.
Let me see. Yvette says he's a master manipulator. We know that today. But when they were 19, was he a manipulator? Who was manipulating who? I wonder who is manipulating who. You said he. You must mean he was manipulating. Maybe it was, right? But most people that will end up with a person that actually grew, they grew together, they became better. They might have gone through moments where somebody came off as manipulator, right? Or they were actually a manipulator, right? But what she's saying so far right now sounds pretty normal to me. Most people that will end up marrying a person in their 20s, they will go through this. It's just what it is. They don't know anything about life, right? Let's keep going.
And about 1 month after, just
In a relationship.
we got to tone it all the way down.
Okay, we're going to
All right, let's go back. This is very important.
I got married. So you're 28 years old. And
So they were together for 9 years, 9 whole years before they actually got married. 19 to what, like 27, 28. All right, that's what they're talking about right now.
y'all were in a committed relationship. Were there any infidelity or cheating during that 9 years?
I can't really say commitment is a big word. So let's tone
In
that
hindsight.
down a little bit. Commitment is a big
Well, I
word.
got to tone the word commitment down.
We do.
Y'all's in a relationship.
We got to tone it all the way down.
Okay, we're going to
Bring
tone it down to Danae. What we're going to
So
call it?
we're gonna call it a situation.
Situationship.
We was in a situationship for a long time.
So y'all never, so when y'all,
So when-
after 3 days in love, y'all didn't say, let's make it official?
We were technically
They were
official, but there was
19.
a lot of on and offs again. Right?
They were 19. Okay. He was 19. She was 19. He's a few months older than her. Or actually, was she older? I think she might have been older than him. 19 months. 19, So at 19, be honest. You and I, when we were 19, we really thought we had arrived. We know everything about this world, right? You can't tell us nothing, right? We knew what is there to not know at 19. We literally have 19-year-old teaching grown men how to do relationships online right now today. What? We have, I'm telling you, 19. We don't know anything at 19, but yet you felt like you knew a lot. He's 5 months older. Thank you. No, he wasn't. But she let her guard down and he took advantage of it. I would say, I think you're speaking from what we know today. Okay. I think they were just being 19 years old. Okay. They were just being 19 years old because many people will have this experience, right? And every time you fell for another 19-year-old in college that you were tutoring, it's like I can look at your statement and be like, oh, don't let them take advantage of you. I don't know. I'm just trying to go with the timeline, Sha. Based on what we know today, he's definitely a manipulator, right? But I'm not sure if he started at that time. In fact, if you listen to this podcast very well, she was a hell of a manipulator. She was just as bad, if not worse. If you listen properly to this podcast, okay? And she was owning it too. That's what I appreciated the most about this podcast. Let's continue.
Right. In that, so that's why I say when we talk about commitment, we got to tone it all the way down. We got to go back to the elementary.
She's basically admitting like we were not committed, we were on and off, a lot of on and off, right? You know what a lot of women would do nowadays? They'll say, no, based off how I feel today, I'm going to translate all the way back to he wanted to manipulate me from the beginning. He told me they will only remember the moment where he was also saying, "Oh, I love you. I love you. You're going to be here. We're going to be here together." She's not saying that. She's saying, "Listen, tone all that commitment stuff all the way down." Like, nah. Listen, I brought a lot of issues into that situationship. It's more so. Not only that, it's a 9-year period. People as a lot they were held hostage for 9 years. She could have easily said, "Well, he held me hostage for 9 years and I was there for a long time." She said, "Listen, it was a lot of in and outs. It was a situationship." Not only that, many people were involved in the situation. Let's continue. Well, not on our part, but she's owning it, right? That has to be refreshing. Let's continue.
Level of the word, and I'm here for it.
And then what happened?
Well, years later,
Years later,
I was still dealing with the effects of it, because I never really like confessed to setting him up until like way later. Like,
so you and Fabian never did nothing?
no.
So while they were doing the on and off relationship thing, she set him up with another dude that she tried to basically, we said that here. When women cheat, oftentimes they're just being vindictive. When a woman is being vindictive, may God help you, because you can't win that game. So, and she tried to do that, but she actually did not sleep with the person, and she mentioned the fact that the person has actually passed away, and but she didn't own up to it. So she was, wouldn't you consider that manipulation? I'm asking, is that manipulation when you're not really cheating, but you're acting like you're dealing with somebody else in order to make him jealous so you can act right? Manipulation doesn't work. Do you consider that manipulation? Ladies, I'm asking. At 19, we thought we knew it all, but we didn't know jack shit, right? Why is it always a man's fault? You say things like women are not manipulative, they are this innocent. Not to an Ekene in the chat. I will agree with Ola. She was, and she owned it. Can they calm down? Every human is capable of being manipulated. Wahala. Anyway, let's keep going here. But that's not what you were saying. You put all the blame on men. Listen, I tell you, on this platform, we'll bring the blame down to the individual. It could be a man, it could be a woman, right? I appreciate that she's holding herself accountable. Yes, that's what I am getting a lot from this video. Like, when we went into that video, let's be honest. Let's all be honest. Both men and women, because men don't appreciate Derrick Jackson because they think he panders to women. The men are celebrating the downfall of Derrick Jackson, which I think is weird. I do think that's weird, right? I think celebrating the downfall of men is, that's weird, But they're celebrating because they thought it was pandering too much, and they're like, "Yeah, we told you that nigga's a simp," right? But what we went there to see is, like, we wanted to see a woman that will completely say, "Yes, he was manipulative. I did nothing wrong. Men have been victimizing me all my life because, number one, I was, a victim of, sexual assault. Number two, this man came into my life, saw my weak points, and took advantage of it." Let's be honest, that's what you went there to go and see. Isn't it refreshing to see a woman say, yeah, I was a victim, but here's the role I play. She didn't really throw herself under the bus, but you could see that she wasn't there to throw him under the bus exactly. He was the one who asked for divorce, by the way. Okay, but I know what the extremes sound like when I hear it, right? And the truth is never in the extreme, ever, never in the extreme. Humans just don't work like that, Let's keep going.
No,
Y'all
we
ain't
did not.
kiss, y'all ain't do nothing.
No.
And so you just kept that lingering for years as if y'all really did something.
Yes, I wanted Derrick to feel all of it.
And so what did he catch you doing? Just walking out of his apartment one day?
I honestly, I don't know what he really caught me doing. He never really told me what he caught me doing, but I know that he's at least seen us doing some racing. I know he's
Racing.
seen us maybe like going to like a meetup point and all of that. So
So he
there's
never
stuff.
confronted you about that and was like, I know you
Not-
cheating on me with
Not
Fabian.
in college. No, that was this.
So that was in
during
college?
marriage when we were dealing with
Right.
unpacking that, and then he was like, "You were cheating on your husband,"
Hmm.
and I was like, "Okay, okay, maybe I was emotionally cheating. Okay, I'll give you that." In college, 9 years before we ever got married, so I didn't cheat on my husband, but it was like.
Wait.
No,
All right, emotional cheating, right? I didn't cheat on my husband, but I cheated her. Well, she's right about that. But when a man finds himself in a space where he has to, ask, "Are you cheating on me? Did you cheat on me?" Oh boy, it's too late. Oh, at that point in time, even if she tells you she's not cheating, will you believe there's something you saw something? That's you're feeling something. Like maybe you didn't see something. You're feeling something that's making you feel like she's cheating. Yeah, in that space already is if you ever find yourself in that space, it's bad. You need to engage wise counsel at that point. Okay, it's bad. The damages are great at that point in time. Even worse, because the last thing a man will fathom is a woman cheating on him. He just really never sees that coming. The way men, I know ladies you're not going to understand this, right? The way men, it's like the world is about to end, okay? All right? It's the worst thing that can, to women too, but I'm just letting you know, like, okay, it's not tit for tat. Let's leave it alone, okay?
Cheated on your husband while we're in marriage. I'm like, no. You can't use that because we weren't married at the time. So
Did you have an emotional affair with old Fabian? Did you like him?
no, I did not. I was dealing with some severe heartbreak, like the things that I seen Derek doing with other women at the time, and I was really attached to him. And then you have to think I was coming off of that rape trauma.
Yep.
And so I never dealt with, that I never talked to anybody about. And so there was a lot
Hey,
of
D-Love.
turmoil that
You're
I
not
was
that
having.
late,
I wasn't
just a little
necessarily- I wasn't
bit.
thinking
We're just
about,
getting
oh,
started.
Fabian is this guy that I'm trying to be with. I'm thinking, how am I going to get this guy back? But then at the same time, I don't want him
I
to
don't want to lose
leave.
him. Yep.
But
You want him to feel the pain, but don't lose him.
right. And it's like,
But then you're not even speaking up about what you saw.
exactly, right? So these are all the issues that I brought into the relationship, lack of
And the fact
communication.
of not speaking up was the same thing that you practiced when you were sexually assaulted.
Exactly. So it just carried over, and I didn't realize the power of not speaking about the rape trauma.
All right, she's talking about that. Now, here's the thing. This, I told you, even my own wife, it's an issue, okay? That we've had to learn how to manage, not speaking up, right? You're going through something, you're not speaking up. Essentially, she went through his phone multiple times and found him having sex with a bunch of women, okay? The worst thing, the worst situation you ever want to find yourself is in that kind of situation. Yeah. You will just think about writing something on a paper that you're never able to erase ever again for the rest of your human experience. You will never be able to erase those pictures, that motion picture, out of your head. Right now, had that together with a personality who, for whatever reason, it could be trauma-based reasons, it could be personality-based reasons, you don't speak up. You just deal with everything because you don't want to come off as weak. You don't want to come off like you're attacking him. You don't want to offend him again, or you don't want to mess up opportunity to find out more information. Yeah, it's not gonna be good, right? Especially if you're a person, the husband is a person who is basically practicing what he doesn't preach. He was actively preaching to women. Women were eating it up like Indomie. actively, you know, telling women what they want to hear, right? Telling women what they 700,000 subscribers he built off of this, right? Just telling them what they want to hear, right? Never assessing the situation from the standpoint of like, auntie, you think all men are wicked. You might just be the wicked one. No, let's do proper assessment. You know, I don't think it's wickedness for the most part. I think a lot of people are operating from a place of weakness. But you don't want to hear nothing. You just think they're wicked. Let's make sure you're not the wicked one. There's never a moment, right? So of course, what do we know about these online platforms? If you're an echo chamber where everybody is repeating the same talking points, you grow faster because you will attract more people that just want to, you know, misery loves company. It is what it is, right? And that's fair. It's a fair game as far as I'm concerned. I take my time here. We're at 2,600, almost 2,600 subscribers. We're taking our time. We'll get to 200,000 subscribers when the time comes. Okay? But what we're not going to do here is build an echo chamber, individual by individual level. What did you do first? Let's start with you're a human being. You're not perfect. You're too far from it. That's an understatement. I'm looking for other ways to say you're not perfect. Right? But what was he doing? It was just, right? So he's a husband to this kind of person. So there's a ton of resentment. They're like, oh, you do this, you tell them this. I'm not sure if we'll get to that point later. You tell them this. Do you believe in all the stuff you're saying online, right? You will basically, I've been through that situation before. Let me be honest with you. My wife has asked me before, like, oh, so you know how to advise people, right? Yes, I went through that. I can tell you, listen, soon you'll start to see a bunch of testimonials. I'll tell you how many people I've helped in terms of relationship and stuff like that. Yet, it's so near me, like I said, like the poop was smelling on myself, my own self, and my wife is looking at this one. This one is mad. Like, you know how to advise people, right? It's a bad situation to find yourself because guess what? She's going to be questioning herself. She's going to be questioning herself and say, is this something wrong with me? Everybody thinks it's perfect. Everybody thinks it's a man who knows all this stuff. And they don't really know him like that. And she's pissed off. Oftentimes she's pissed off. Often in one side of things, she's pissed off at you. In the other side of things, she's questioning herself. Low self-esteem, low self-worth, right? Nothing good is going to come out of the combination of what I just described. Nothing good, right? And it's a very difficult situation. These are just human beings trying to get through life. Yeah.
All fake. All fake names.
All fake names.
Okay. So
you watch him have sex with Sue.
Yeah, and
Ekene says he's a simp. I think you should put that in all caps so I can so you can let me know that, you know, tell me how you really feel, Ekene. Let's see here. I beg, who is this lady? Is this Derry Jackson's wife? Yes, D-Love, that's her. Yep. I see you all about that women code. What's women code? What is women code? What is that? We have code as human beings, if that's what you're talking about. There's a way I speak to the gentleman to get them to receive the message, right? Yes, there is code, and it's a real part of life, and you better be speaking in code to a large extent, because if you don't, your message won't land. How useless is that to just be talking and your message won't land? Just think about that for a second, right? D-Love, yes, so Kasala Boss, you need to catch part 1 and part 2 of this interview. It was really deep. I haven't seen part 2 yet. We're going to take our time because we have to get to Tiamiyu today, right? No, I'm not, sir. You don't even know me. I am all about she's that you're talking to Natu about the code stuff. All right, you and Natu. My boo, help me see Rodo. Wahala. Man, this is traumatic, man. It's a lot. Kindemosa, what did I say? What did I say? Let's continue.
And Sue and Jane and Jade and Sheila. That's a thing, right?
She was trying to avoid mentioning names. Let's jump forward.
Abortions before.
I'm going to let you in on the
She said what she was actively saying just now is that she had multiple, the A word, baby deletions. Basically, she had multiple baby deletions. Multiple baby deletions. Okay. Before they decided to retain one about 9 years into when they were doing their on and off, right? We're doing their on and off. Everybody kind of pictured the situation like, oh, he cheated, he manipulated. But the truth is that she said, listen, I was a part of that. I was a part of that, essentially, right? But she decided on that last one that she wasn't gonna have a baby deletion. Let's keep going.
Dealt with me, and I was like, Lord, if you save me from this, I'm not going to ever do this again. Got pregnant. I was like, I can't go back on my word, Lord. I don't want you to kill me.
Yeah.
You know, but so I started, okay, I got to figure out what I'm doing with my life. And then I started getting a little bit more serious. Like, what are we doing? He was still doing, you know, stuff with other girls. I knew about it, so I did still participate in some sexual activity and all that.
I knew about it. I still did participate, right?
Knowing that he was with other girls, I was
knowing that he was still with other girls. That's not self-guilt. There's a difference between self-guilt and self-accountability, right? Self-guilt is destructive, right? Self-guilt, the way it shows up is it makes you resent the other person. Self-guilt actually has a tendency of still making you blame other people, okay? It's really self-guilt that's going on, but you know, it's just easy to point fingers at the closest thing around. Usually that's the person that you are sleeping with, okay? Yoruba people say, anybody palu, right? It's easier to just point fingers at everything else but self, right? All of us, you know? So it takes a lot of humility to say, wait, I participated. That phrase is a powerful phrase. It's you literally re-engaging your power. Listen, some things happened, but I participated. That's a powerful position to be in. It's a very difficult thing to do. A very difficult thing to do.
as a willing participant. But it did start to take a toll on me mentally and emotionally because I'm pregnant, right? So there was a lot of women involved in that time. And it was in that time that I had a conversation with his mom, and I was like, listen, I don't have another 7 years to give him. I'm trying to figure this out, and like, I want to be with him, I want to do this, but I don't have another 7 years to give him, so he has to figure out what he wants to do. And then shortly after that, I'm getting a call from my mom, and she's like, I just got a call from Derek asking me for your hand in marriage. I thought you were not in a relationship. I was like, we're not. You know, we're doing this co-parenting thing, you know.
Do you see that small smile that came on her face, remembering that moment?
And she was like, okay, so what are you going to do? And so I actually knew about the engagement, which she didn't know about, but I actually knew about the engagement and all that because my mom told me about it. She was asking me these questions because she was like, I thought you weren't in a relationship. And I'm like, we're not. You know, and so I had to figure out, okay, he's being serious. He called my mom.
Did that make you excited? How'd you feel?
I was so excited because I'm like, he called my mom. My mom and him, like, they don't
mess with each other.
No. And so he humbled himself. He called my mom and asked for my hand in marriage. She
did a hand gesture. He called my mom.
It's meant to be. Absolutely. So excited. And so, yes, I was so excited about it.
To be.
Yes, he called my mom. He don't even know what that means, right? He called my mom. They don't even get along, first off, like that. So that meant a lot.
Why didn't they get along?
I left my phone in his car.
Listen, did you see the excitement on her face? Just basically reliving that moment of him. Now let me ask you a question. Do you think he meant it? Why do you think he proposed? He had many other chicks going on, okay, at the same time. That's not new, ladies. Let's not pretend at this point in time. Listen, that's not all the way through for everybody, okay? But let you know, men have when you get picked, you literally got picked, okay? Because there were options. Especially if you're dealing with a good-looking man, there were options either on the sidelines, either they were official, either it was just chatting them on the side. You got picked, right? Did you say, hey, since you have these other people going on, I don't want to be picked. Is that how that worked? That one is abuse cap.
Stop the cap.
Did you enjoy being picked when he finally decided, for whatever reasons, even you're pregnant, people get pregnant, they say, well, we're just going to have baby out of wedlock, right? Is that one of the reasons? Is the pregnancy is one of the reasons why he decided to propose, right? Well, he only proposed because of pregnancy. Well, you don't think pregnancy is a powerful thing? You don't think a man being able to procreate, continue his legacy is a big deal? You don't think that's a big deal? You don't think that's a big enough deal for someone to want to create a family with you? Abi, we're still doing the woke thing where, oh, you should never stay because of the children. Children are powerful. Okay, it depends on how you look at it. Okay, one thing, man must buy because of one thing. One thing, however way you want, it's a terrible idea to stay because of the children. You're right. Okay, you're right.
Well, you're right.
But if I agree, if that's the only reason, I think in this time and age, I think it's just going to backfire. I agree. But I think a lot of people saying that too are big cap. Children are powerful. If children are able to make you stay to the point where you're able to figure things out so you can actually have a beautiful relationship, which there are many people with tons of testimony, they were only staying a little bit longer because of the children. But eventually they figured something out. They were able to build a solid relationship. There is now empty nest. The children are gone, but they're still together. And there you are being woke. You are saying it's always a terrible idea. Say, are you thinking this all the way through? I bet this is just another woke moment for you. I be telling you, take it easy on this talking point. Take it easy. Let's see. Ola, woman's code means when women don't criticize each other for their bad behavior. I see more than enough women women are very, very tough on each other. They're vicious. Have you ever heard have you ever heard that women are just, it depends on what you're talking about, Sha. You know, it depends. But I've seen enough circumstances where I'm like, that's your fellow woman now. Take it easy. That makes if you're trying to hold women accountable on a particular topic, and it turns like women side each other because they realize you're throwing women under the bus, it only makes sense for them to save each other, right? Because now you become the enemy. It's us against him, right? So I see where you can easily bring in women's code there. But typically when you look at the outside of this type of conversations, women are not that friendly to each other. Have you ever heard women say, I don't really have women friend like that. Most of my friends are men. Have you ever heard that before? Oh, if you are around enough women, you will hear it. Oh yes, it's a very common saying, you know. Therapy is helping her a lot, and I'm happy for her healing journey. It's awesome. She took the time before she did an interview with anybody. That is awesome. That's something you don't see. It's very, very rare to see that, you know. I want out of them all syndrome. Yes, D. You know, she's glowing and you can tell she's healing well. Super happy for her after all that public humiliation. Yeah, I see that too. I like her honesty. I believe her. Most women will never be this honest at all. Yeah, you're generalizing. But I think most people are not honest. Yes, and I'm not trying to balance. People are not honest. People are fucking liars. Did I tell you that before? That people are liars, right? They're not necessarily knowingly lie, but they just lie because it feels better.
Why the fuck you lie?
Okay? Yeah. This is Man of Prestige. Don't forget that, Kene. This is the Man of Prestige platform. Right? I agree with you on that. This is her healing process. Yep. I really love the fact that she wasn't playing the victim and straight threw him under the bus. I mean, think about it. We're literally 42 minutes into the conversation and she hasn't thrown him under the bus. In fact, some people might say, why are you throwing yourself under the bus? Hold him accountable. Let's hold him accountable. There is no power in that. That's weak. because everyone else will do exactly that. They hold everything else accountable but self. That's the easiest thing to do in the world. You know, she basically opened her own nyash with all her flaws for us to see and learn lessons from. Yep, I agree. I definitely stayed longer because of the kids, but I eventually left because of the kids and the unhealthy environment. Yeah, kids are powerful. Sometimes it's at some points you have to back off from that situation. It's just not going to work, right? But sometimes they were just that little bit push that you needed for you to stay longer to say, hey, or for the other person to say, hey, let me treat the mother of my kids a little bit better, or let me see my own flaws. Let's make this work for these kids. It's not really the kids. At the end of the day, it's really for you, because you don't really do nothing for your kids. There is a sense of ownership. There's a sense of significance that you get from doing anything for your kids. At the end of the day, it still comes down to you're doing it for you. Let's continue here.
Or when I first met him, and he called her, and that conversation didn't go well. So ever since then, it's just been like a battle between them, and I've kind of been in the middle of it, and it created a lot of anxiety in the relationship. So I actually isolated from my family a little bit, and just kind of was doing my thing, being grown,
isolated from the family.
And so
that was a bad idea.
You get a tip that he's going to propose. How did he propose?
All of our family was there. All his family was there. My mom and my brother flew in, and we had like a little housewarming party because we had just moved into a
let me
new
give
house.
this brother his credit.
And,
so y'all got back together then. So after the tip off, how did he come back around and say, hey, can we be back together?
So my lease was up in my apartment, and so we were actually technically still off, but I didn't have anywhere. I'm like, if my lease is up, I'm not about to renew it, so I'm either going back to Denver, or I'm coming to stay with you. I want you to be here for the baby's birth, and it was right around the time that she was going to be born, so we need to figure this out. So I ended up moving in basically with him in the house that he was in, and we never really officially said like we're back together. It was just like
so there's a lot of people doing this silent thing. They're back together, but it's silent, you know, and you were kind of back together, but you know, I don't want to mess it up. Let's not give it a name, right? People will say let's not label it, right? People are trying to do that with marriage these days. Don't do marriage with the states, you know. That's all of that is fear-based. Nothing good comes out of fear-based moves. In the grand scheme of the society, you're probably going to hurt yourself. Okay? You're probably just going to hurt yourself. Probably going to hurt yourself. You might protect yourself, successfully protect yourself on paper, financially. But in terms of being able to actually attract love and a quality life, and unfortunately, life is really feelings and emotions. Your feelings and your emotions, right? Especially when you're actively justifying it with logic. Especially in that space. Life is the feelings, it's the experience. That's just the reality. No matter how much you try to force to be this machine that's always thinking logically, you're not a machine. You're a human being like the rest of us, right? So if you're going to be intentional at all, you need to respect emotional intelligence. Okay? You need to respect emotions. I don't mean operate out of your emotions, but respect the presence of it at all times, 100% of the time, and engage emotional intelligence as a lifetime student. Outside of that, you could just collect, because the rest of the human beings you're dealing with, they're not machines. Even if you are successful with becoming a machine, the other people you're going to deal with, they're not machines. They will oftentimes be caught up in their emotions. There's something in it for them at an emotional level. If you're disengaged from that, if you're not able to connect with that, yeah, it's going to be bad. Okay? You will end up in McDonald's by yourself.
You will end up in McDonald's.
all by yourself. Okay. All right, let's continue.
together, you know? So there's never a conversation like, yes, we're doing
We
this.
go together, circle yes or no.
It was just like,
We
We go together.
And
Yes
so
or no?
That's how that happened. And then I got the call and I was like, okay, we're together. And we're rolling with that. And if
With photo
All
virus,
right.
you can
Pay some bills there. Let me see. Ola, they don't in front of men. I agree with you on that. They do in front of men. If they feel like you're throwing women under the bus, once they can engage that, they will, precisely when they feel like you're throwing women under the bus, you collect. Okay? And that's what you mean by women code. I think it's fair. It's realistic. Let's get back to
give
this.
him a pass to cheat on you.
essentially, like, so me bringing up
Wait.
Accuse you of infidelity to give him a pass to cheat on you.
essentially, like, so me bringing up all these things and then him feeling or accusing me of having this relationship with the trainer, which I did not have, but allowed him basically like, okay, I'm being like in his mind.
But she was
I'm being
playing games.
disrespectful, I'm being unappreciative. But he's done all this changing and actually asked for me to marry him, and here I go, just bringing up all this stuff from the past, and
So she's saying just before they got married, they went to counseling and they basically brought up all the issues they've had over the last 9 years since they met, and basically was dragging him woto, and a lot, and then they still forcefully go into marriage, right? That is what it is.
Would you say he was on his best behavior during that time?
define best behavior. Okay. So if we're talking about so we have to define best behavior.
Okay, we're
I
gonna
would
define
say,
it as not messing with other women at this point.
No.
okay, we're gonna have to define that too. Okay, so listen. Okay, I'll put it this way:
This is the content creation part.
were there women that he had still had contact with in some way, that he's had a sexual relationship with or some sort? Those people were always there. He was always constantly having at least a minimum a dialogue with them,
Okay.
like if they were friends.
And was it discussed that he would no longer have those?
And if you know anything about what we know about Derek Jackson, he probably wasn't just friends with people, man. That guy was doing it.
conversation with people in whom he had sexual relationships with?
No, so that wasn't discussed until after I left the marriage for 8 months. That wasn't discussed until after that. So, but going into marriage, no, there was not really a dialogue about like, hey, all these
Yeah, it's the silent
people
thing.
that you've had a relationship with.
Let's
or
just pretend like
whatever
life
in the
is
past,
perfect.
Like, all of them need to cut out. You ain't no friends. There was no dialogue about that. I didn't have any boundaries
Right.
or barriers.
You didn't even know what that was.
I didn't even know what a boundary was. Like, what
Exactly.
is that? I didn't
Yeah.
have any standard or like I didn't know
Standards.
that was a thing that you can actually request, or not even request, that you implement. You know, so yeah, I had there was none of that. So was there people that he had at least at minimums a conversation with, that he has had sex with or has some type of dealings with? Those people had always been there at minimum in conversation form. As far as having a sexual encounter, to my knowledge, there wasn't a whole lot going on. But then again, not too long after our marriage premarital counseling failed, he met up with
Don't be saying no
a
names in there.
relative. I wasn't.
Okay.
I was bridling. I was thinking.
Met up with Shaniqua Thomas.
Right,
And,
a relative, and it's supposed to, like, a distant relative. It's like one, like, their cousin married my dad, so that's my cousin type of thing situation. But like a relative, essentially claiming as a relative, they met up, but this is somebody that he had a conversation.
Anyway, they got married.
As I was pregnant and I was hungry, and the wedding timeline sometimes,
These long.
you be hungry, and I'm like, I'm pregnant. I'm actually 6 months pregnant at this point.
You were 6 months?
6, and nobody could really tell. Like, people were like, "Are she pregnant or is she not pregnant?" Like, that's how
You
it
were
was.
6 months.
6 months, So I wasn't necessarily showing as much as I could have. After that, though, I was like, people were like, "What happened?"
You got your honeymoon, boy.
Right.
Y'all was lit.
Right.
I don't know what y'all did on y'all honeymoon.
Right, and so
So it's safe to say that from all looks of things, they were getting married because she was pregnant. You know, is this always a red flag? Should you get married if you? It just depends. You know, there's so many people that got married because they got pregnant, and they did it successfully. Okay, there are so many people that did all of the right things. They were virgin. I'm a virgin, and it didn't work out. There's just too many other variables that I would like to discuss. At the other, what I'll tell you like this: it comes down to the underlying relationships. Okay, if the underlying relationship is not right and the person is pregnant, don't do it. Oh, take your time. Make sure you engage wise counsel, because that pregnancy is not going to save that situation. Okay, if the person is a virgin but the underlying relationship is not right, something in your spirit is telling you like, hey, is this how I'm going to spend the rest of my life? Stop everything you're doing. Engage wise counsel. Okay, just because he's a virgin is not a guarantee. No, I'm telling you right now, human beings are not your mate. Oh. I'm telling you right now, that's a quick warning for you. So a lot of the stuff we like to hold on to as values and stuff like this, all that stuff end up in the poto all the time. The only thing that stands the test of time is unity. We're on the same page, and by the way, that's a moving target, just so you know. Okay. Ekene says women grant access to sex and men grant access to relationship. That's very true. That's just part of our social construct. She wanted the marriage, but he didn't. She basically used the child to trap him. No, not so easy. Not so easy. No. It's just hard for me to look at both of them and say they anybody trap each other. Yeah, she rightfully said, hey, I don't know what he's trying to do, but I'm pregnant, right? But the man still remain the authority in terms of giving the relationship, just like you said, giving marriage, the relationship, regardless of what happened. He has to look at himself in the mirror and said, there was some kind of value I was getting from this, and I chose to go into this marriage. He has to remain in that space. That's where we need to remain with that. Just like he has to own her own too, and she's actively doing that right in front of us right now, you know? Let's see. So he never really stopped cheating. I don't think there was ever a time that he didn't cheat. It seems. Because they got married only 2018. That's like yesterday. 2018 is when? Like 5 years ago? 6 years ago? 5 years ago. Okay. So...
So that day though, it was great. Like it was like everything was coming in. I mean, there were so many.
Our dads.
All right, paying bills. Let's see here. Let's skip that. There you go.
I'm coming off of just having a baby, right, or having our second child. I had severe postpartum actually with both children. So just think of all the trauma
they had two kids together
already that never really dealt with. Severe postpartum where I was on medication for like 8-9 months on medication, and gone to the medical therapy that I had to go through just for being on postpartum depression. So all of this stuff is happening, and it was in that time where apparently more of the conversations and
honestly, even if you wanted to stop cheating, the environment is just that environment didn't seem like he could do that, you know. Postpartum, she has this trauma, she has issues anytime she's being touched. Every type of touch, she's interpreting it as something. It's just a lot going on there. In addition to the fact that, hey, all this time you've enabled, okay, you didn't enable. All this time you know what it was? You know what time it was, right? Yeah. It'll be tough for that kind of guy. And he was getting a lot of attention. I'd be 700,000 subscribers is your mate. That's a lot of attention he was probably drunk off of that for a long time.
Transformed into more than conversations, and I didn't find out about it though until like
Later
months
on.
later. But that is around the time where those conversations became more than conversations again, and started to be physical things.
So we're gonna stop right now, and we're gonna come back.
What do y'all think? So here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna probably have another session where you can call in and we can talk about this even at a deeper level. But right about now, okay, I think it's time to get to TMEU. We have to do TMEU today. We have to. Okay, there's just way too many lessons with TMEU, and I came ready today. So as you can see, my energy is still there. I don't have any water, but let's talk about it. I'll be right back.